All right, here we are, live.
Oh, are we live?
Live and doing stuff.
Shit.
It's all right, buddy. You can finish your game.
I
I
was
just want to pause it or anything like that.
looking something up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like directions to this place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, the fine, I guess Gadsden County decided to just redo the railroad tracks and close off my road.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I thought I read something about a flood or something.
No.
No?
It was yeah.
It's the
Here-
fucking railroad tracks.
Yeah, here and the only other way into this place is closed too.
Right.
So you have to go through like this little trailer court backwoods type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed the ride in.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah, really. I don't know. I like the country. I like the woods, and there's a lot of it out here.
Yeah. Yeah, there is.
A lot of really old houses, plantations and shit.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it out this way. And it's easier to deal with than the big city counties.
I'm
You know
sure.
what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, they don't care what anybody's doing out here. As long as you ain't hurting anybody, they don't care.
Yeah. Speaking of, are you allowed to talk about the thing that you have going on? Now that I'm putting you on the spot.
I'll do it next week.
Next week? Okay.
Yeah, because there's some stuff I got to prep first.
Gotcha. For our watchers, there's something going on that Jeremy
Yes,
can't talk about.
Big announcement coming up next week. It'll be fun. Yeah, it's been a hell of a road.
I'm sure.
Been quite the trip. It's not easy to do, but it's gonna be worth it. Oh, it. All right. Oh yeah, and Ben Banks.
Oh yeah,
Ben Banks calling you.
Ben Banks.
Calling you, Ben. How you
Oh,
been, buddy?
whoa, that's awkward.
Hope he's on the way. We got a couple already. Ooh, John, hey, John Lane says we have a show next Friday with Soup Girls and Living Dead Girl.
Living Dead Girl.
And then he said Soap Girls.
Soap?
Soap Girls. All right. Awesome, John. Congratulations, buddy. Where at? Throw the link into chat.
Yep. Dates, times.
Tammy says hello. Samantha says hello.
Tammy Samantha.
Samantha says, welcome, Ben Banks. Yes.
Thank you. Hi.
He'll be here shortly, I hope. I don't know. Have we been stood up before?
Not the day of, no.
Yeah, we've had cancellations.
We've had people cancel, but
Yeah. Not the moment before.
yeah.
Like we were just left at the altar.
I'm sure he's on the way.
Yeah. Yeah, and he doesn't text and drive, which is good.
That is good.
Yeah, you should not do that.
No, don't do that. Speaking of shows, hey, we got a show to plug.
That's right.
Yep. December 9th. It's the Christmas Rock Show at the Legacy at the Riverfront. It is for a charitable cause, PACT, PACT. Definitely go check them out. They are much larger than I can sit here and talk about in one breath. That's PACT, PACT. Check them out. The bands that are playing: Trial by Stone, Thunder the Snake, Defy the Tyrant, Satin, Internet Girlfriend, Falls Motherfucking Chase. Glad to see you guys out again. Can't wait for the show. Mutual Friends, The Fetish, The Sparrows, Curly Q, and This Dying Breed. Love those guys. That's Saturday, December 9th, Legacy at the Riverfront. It's the Christmas Rock Show at Legacy on the Riverfront. I know where I'll be that night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'll be there for
I'll
sure.
be there, definitely.
And we have we are actually we already booked a couple bands that have never been on here before.
That's right. Internet Girlfriend and Satin.
Yes.
I don't have their dates right here in front of me, but they will be here on Off the Record.
In talks with Mutual Friends.
Oh, there's a third.
Yep.
Outstanding. Oh, it's Satin. Okay, Satin was the one that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So that's, yeah, we got a bunch of good shows coming up.
Yes. And so again, that's December the 9th. We are I think at this time, their first sponsor for that show.
Yes, and they are looking for more sponsors. So any of you local businesses out there do want to hop on it, I can get you the information you need to become a sponsor on.
Yeah, we'll make sure you get connected
yep.
with the right people.
Yep, we can send you in the right direction. I know of one up and coming, popping off soon, local business that will be sponsoring it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they'll be a really good idea for a sponsor.
Yeah, I think so. Speaking of sponsors, huge shout out to Eye Catcher Signs. I went and hung out with JD today.
Yes.
Yep. His link is in the description, as well as the link for this the PACT Christmas show. He burned me up some koozies and a t-shirt real quick, and we did some bullshit. And then shout out to JD for sure. Eye Catcher Signs. Look him up.
In case you're curious, JD he also did our table that we fucking love. I really do like this table.
Yep, did this sweet ass table, which we have just covered in swag.
Oh, is that what you want to call it?
Stuff.
I thought you were going to refer to the beer and God knows what else has been dropped on this table.
I think what was I counted? 36 empty beer cans when Thunder the Snake was on. Yeah,
just on the table,
just
right?
On the table. We go through a lot of beers with those guys.
Hey, there's a cool name for a bar. Just on the table.
Yeah.
So if I ever go into bar business, that's it.
Do it.
Just on the table.
Yeah, you should open a bar. John Wayne says it's at Legacy at Riverfront. Hell yeah.
Yep. Cool.
7 p.m. Good. Rockadillans. What up? They say, how's it going, guys? And they say satin is sweet. A lot of E's. Love those guys.
Can't wait to see them.
And there's also the October 28th show, Legacy at the Riverfront.
Yep.
That's Mosh Mania.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I think it's Our Final Feud's first outing with
it is. Yes.
Yep. Yeah, you got biggest moshing event in Tallahassee will be Saturday, October 28th, Legacy at the Riverfront, with Shreddies from Gangs of Paris, Falls Chase, This Dying Breed, and Our Final Feud.
You know, there are a lot of bands. There are a lot of really awesome bands here in Tallahassee, and there's a lot to be excited about. But Our Final Feud, I am especially excited about those guys. You know, just for everything they have going on for them.
Yeah,
and they're so early into what they're doing. Man, they are doing it fucking big.
Yeah, they have a long time before they're jaded. Before they're jaded and just quit. Don, what up, Don? Air horn for Don.
Don.
He said Off the Record would actually be a cool name for a bar too.
Damn, yeah, it would be.
Maybe,
but I wouldn't want to get it confused.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It'd be a really popular bar because I don't know anybody that doesn't know about this show.
Oh, I'm sure there are people.
You think so?
Oh, I'm sure of it.
I don't know. That means everybody out there needs to like, share, and subscribe.
There are
get our name out there.
There are avenues that I still have not gone down, namely Reddit.
Yeah,
and Instagram, and
I don't know anything about any of those. I guess I need to learn at least the basics.
Reddit is fucking huge.
Is it?
Reddit is goddamn huge. Yeah, it's. I don't know if you remember the old school message boards, but it's kind of like a message board. But imagine Facebook, but more niche. Anything that you want to talk about, you can find on Reddit.
Anything.
Nice.
Anything. So the whole Facebook censorship thing isn't so prominent.
No. Well, the thing about Reddit though is, so there are groups like how you have groups on Facebook, but those groups are run by actual people, and so I suppose whatever censorship the moderators have, you got to deal with that.
Not some AI.
Yeah.
algorithm thing that, dude, you can't even make jokes on Facebook. Me and my buddy Jamie were talking about this one time where he made a joke, like he wrote song lyrics and got banned.
Oh yeah.
I said something stupid and it was just, making a joke, and they threatened to ban me. So I took a screenshot of that and posted it because it was funny.
Right.
Then they did ban me.
We'll show you, asshole.
That's right. And you have no way to nobody to be
There's no appeal process.
Yeah,
But
song lyrics, dude.
I have not been banned on Facebook yet. I've never been to Facebook jail.
Really?
Yeah. No.
Wow. I've been out quite a few times. Not so much anymore.
Although really more so for the show more than anything else, because I'm so closely tied to the show. I mind my manners for the most part.
Yeah, and I really stopped caring about the outside world,
Okay.
like politics and all that. I just gave
Yeah. No, it's worthless.
Yeah, it's like screaming at a brick wall.
Yeah, it
talking
really
to people.
is.
Yeah, it's pointless. Ain't shit gonna change. Oh shit, Buck, what up, buddy?
My buddy. Pew, pew, pew.
Rockadillin say you guys want a little early announcement for this November show we are throwing.
Yes.
Should be the second biggest show this year, 2nd to December 9th. Yes, go ahead.
Let's hear it.
Spill it.
Do it and you're cool. Do it and you're cool.
Wow. Speaking of which, you know what? We never did.
Oh, the intro.
Never did an intro.
Let's do an intro.
Let's do that.
Do it.
Ready?
1, 2.
Yay!
The crazy fat guy.
Yay!
Yeah. The crazy fat guy. I'm gonna try and reach out to Ben real quick.
Please do. Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for the 9th. It's going to be a huge fucking show.
Yes.
Again, people out there, anybody you know that think would be a good sponsor for this show, let me know and I can get you in touch with people that can let them know.
I'll have my people
Forward.
get in touch with your people.
Yes, we will forward the information. But yeah, so Ben Banks.
So
I miss him already. I've never met him, but I miss him.
I have not met him myself. Okay, he's read my messages.
Nice, good. He left you on red.
And of course I usually don't have my phone out, but
Yeah.
in given situation. So
I'm hoping he didn't get lost with that stupid fucking
oh, he's here.
construction.
He-
All right, let's take a look. No, he's not here. He's probably
Your roommate just sent me off into the dark looking for the building.
drag him down with this.
You want to yell out there like Marco or something?
Ah. Oh, whatever. But hey, now everybody knows there's a door behind me. In case you never noticed. Bring back over, or I hope he's not walking. Kind of a hole or two. Sure that it's this house and he didn't end up at the neighbor's. That's why I have that 4 foot by 6 foot 600 sign. Not that I can't be found. Story time.
Let's hear it.
So I bought another motorcycle.
Okay.
What do you know? right? What is this? 8? Now I think it makes 8. Yeah. So I go to the DMV, get the registration swapped over and everything. And apparently there's a bunch of driver's tests being taken on Wednesdays. I guess Wednesday's the day for it. Just before I get to the door of the DMV, my phone rings. So I answer it. And as I'm standing there answer it, this girl backs out and the front of her car touches the car next to her. And she just keeps on going and just crinkles that thing up. And just right down. Gets backed out. And the other lady gets out with her clipboard. She was taking her driver's test and just didn't even make it out of the parking spot before she blew it. I felt so bad for the kid, but I was like, hey, man, you can't just crank it and run. You got to watch where you're going.
Yeah.
You did tell him Gadsden County, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah,
that
it's
was
with
that.
a small shed.
And then I went over to Rainey's barbershop.
Well, why don't you keep the door open so maybe.
Talked to my buddy Danny for a bit. It's kind of cool being this age. Like most of my friends are business owners. Most of my friends are just fucking crushing life. I dig it. It's a lot of fun.
I'm crushing life.
All right.
Yeah. I'm trying to get Ben over here. Apparently he's here. I'm wondering if that's him in that car over there.
Should I fire off a few warning shots? See what he says back? Maybe it's not.
Is that a car with its lights on over there?
No.
I mean, straight ahead. What's that?
No, that's my fence line. I have a little parking fence with fancy lights because I'm fucking bougie like that. Yeah, he's not in my yard. If he's driving around in the yard, he's not in my yard.
I asked him.
He's at the neighbors. Tell him.
Yeah, I asked him if he saw the sign. He said he saw the sign. Okay, now that might be him.
Yeah. That ain't it.
He said he's around the back at a fiberglass building door.
Oh. Yeah, tell him to come around to the front. That's the entrance to the shop. You know what? We'll bring him in that way. I'll stay right there. Hold on. Let's put the camera on Rob so you guys can watch him text for a while. Oh, BRB. LOL.
So yeah. It's the Rob Show. Should I tell a joke? I don't know if you've heard this one. You may have heard this one. So a guy had a date planned with his girlfriend, and before the date, he goes to the pharmacy and he picks up a pack of condoms. And the pharmacist says, "Hey, it looks like you're in for a good night." He said, "Yeah, I'm having dinner with my girlfriend's folks first, and then after dinner we're going out. And I think tonight's the night." So later that night, he's having dinner with the folks, and it comes time for prayer. And he's praying so hard. And the girlfriend leans in and says, "You didn't tell me that you're religious." And he said, "Yeah, you didn't tell me your dad's a pharmacist." And I think we have Mr. Ben Banks. Hey. Welcome.
Hey, is this me?
Yep, that's you.
I want applause. Is it real or is it canned?
Oh, it's real.
That's real. I did it earlier for you. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Sorry about the The construction at the end of the road kind of screwed everything up.
Not a problem. You can't do anything about that. But wow, that was a long roundabout trip up into Havana.
I know, right?
Down. So, yeah, I ignored my GPS and followed the directions that you guys sent me, and it got me here. But it got me here after dark.
Yeah.
Hard finding anything. Anyway, yeah.
So his car is over behind a van.
Oh.
So as I'm going there, we've been doing this.
Yep. Marco.
Yeah. Exactly.
Polo.
Yeah.
That's why I just ran outside and started screaming.
It was a true Marx Brothers moment.
Ben Banks, everybody.
Ben Banks.
Hi.
Thanks for coming, buddy. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. This is cool. I haven't heard any of your stuff yet, but
Oh man,
I like people asking me about myself. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you haven't heard any of our stuff. If you're curious, we have about 1.5 years worth of material
Oh my goodness.
for you to consume at your leisure.
I will do so. I'll be happy to do so. Yeah. So
I did manage to steal one of your songs off Reverb Nation.
okay, very cool.
And,
I've actually got a thumb drive here that's got a bunch of stuff on it too. See? Here. That one has a whole lot of stuff, and I think it's probably the same stuff you can hear on Reverb Nation. But
Yep, I got a Artichoke Heart.
oh,
That was
okay,
my favorite, so I made a little video.
okay. You made a video of Artichoke Art.
Yeah, I mean, it's just more of a picture show
Okay,
with a kaleidoscope.
I'm all for Kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
Speaking of our Artichoke Heart, I really liked how it's kind of a pun, right?
Yes,
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm dying to hear how that came to be.
I was living in Chicago, and there's a band called They Might Be Giants that had all of a sudden started getting a lot of radio play. And I think one fuzzy-headed night, I just sat down and the phrase popped into my head. 15 minutes later, I had a song.
I'll be damned.
Yeah. I've written, a couple of hundred songs at this point in time.
Damn.
Various quality and whatnot, but some of them take years to finish. That one took 15 minutes from start to finish.
Oh, you gotta love that.
Yeah, had a moment for a bathroom break. Sometimes that's how it goes.
Sometimes in the bathroom. You have to keep an acoustic guitar in the bathroom. You have
That's
to.
a good idea.
Not to mention the acoustics that you get in bathrooms. I mean,
Well, the reverb is the best. But I wrote it, and then I found somebody to record it for me. And I had, if you've listened to it all the way through, you hear there's a kazoo and trombone duet. Yeah. Well, I played I wanted the trombone part. I played it on the kazoo so the trombone player would know what to do. And he did. And then the guy who mixed the thing for me, when he gave me the final copy, is like, I decided to leave that kazoo in there. I like
that's
it.
awesome.
And I was a little pissed off about it. But after a little while, I decided, I don't like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's interesting how things don't necessarily happen the way that you want them to, but kind of worked out.
Well, especially in recording.
Yeah.
The best songs I've ever written, they just kind of fell into my head, just like that one, 15 or 20 minutes. And the best recordings I ever got, it was like the first or second take. And, often with some mistake in there that everybody goes, that's kind of cool. Leave it in. So also some of my worst songs happen that way too.
Absolutely.
It's just, serendipity does exist.
For the first time in what I'll refer to as my music career, I use that word career very, very loosely, by the way.
We all do.
I'm dabbling in recording
Yeah.
my own stuff for the very first time. Over the weekend, I was just kind of noodling around as you do, and this thing just kind of happened. Right, it happened so naturally, and I was like, oh my god, I've got to record this right now, And so I go and record it and do a little scratch track. Like, all right, we'll do it again, the way that it really should sound. And that worked out. And then I was like, all right, what else am I going to do with this? I don't know, man. It's kind of like what you said earlier. Sometimes you do it in 15 minutes, and other times, I'm not going to push it.
Right.
I'm not. The first little thing just came out so wonderfully natural that I'm not going to just put something down on paper.
Sure.
I'm going to let maybe in a couple weeks something else might come out, and maybe a couple months we'll see what happens.
Well, you can ruin a good idea by trying to force it.
Yeah.
Of course, you can also let a good idea sit there on the back burner for years and years and years. And
absolutely.
By the time you finally get back to it, it's like, I forgot what I was thinking about.
Yep.
I've got a lot of songs that, I started writing back in the 1990s. They're still not finished.
Yeah.
And, the problem with that is it becomes so precious to you.
Exactly.
That you can't add or subtract anything from it anymore.
That's where I'm at. Exactly.
Analysis paralysis. Should I be sitting closer to this, or is this picking me up okay?
Yeah, you're picking up all right.
All right, cool.
Looks like it.
Comfortable spot. Yeah, so you guys, you got a setup out in the middle of the woods in Havana.
Yep.
Like, how long? You've been doing this for 2 years, and
thereabout. Yeah.
Yeah, around 2 years.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah. So we were just talking before you came. This table, was it given to us?
No.
Oh, it was not.
No.
Okay. It was made. Okay.
Yeah. I had it custom made. I had JD make it.
Well, it's a very cool table.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah. And obviously, you guys play in bands around town somewhere.
We're both retired.
Congratulations. How did that happen?
I got tired of working with musicians.
I hear you.
So I was like, you know what? I'm retiring. I'm done.
I hear you. Yeah. I know Frank Zappa said, musicians are people who do such wonderful things. They are almost worth the aggravation of working with them.
Almost.
But not quite.
Not quite.
He moved over to Synclavier and did all of his stuff on a big keyboard for the end of his life.
Yep. I still write and I play guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I still write and play for myself,
right?
But it really is just for myself. I mentioned that I'm dabbling in recording, and I do want to put that stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
And
what kind of software are you using?
So I am using Reaper for my for the digital audio workstation. Yeah, the DAW. And I am using, man, I can't remember the STL, I think is the guitar mod that I'm using. And
so Pro Tools is probably real old school by this point.
Well, it's not the Pro Tool. It's not that Pro Tools is obsolete or anything else. I think Kyle uses Pro Tools, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, either that or Audacity, maybe.
Yeah. But Pro Tools is just I'm not a sound or recording engineer at all, and so it's a
little complicated.
Yeah, it's much more complicated than what I want it to be.
Right.
Yeah, I'm very layman whenever it comes to these things.
Well, it's getting better and time. Makes it a lot easier for the average one of us to sit down in our home studio and record things.
Right.
It's getting a lot more intuitive. And I noticed that, you know, you hear guys my age say, well, there's no more good music coming out. Which is bullcrap,
That's such
you know?
bullshit.
There's more good music coming out now than at any time in history.
Absolutely.
The problem is sorting through it.
Yep.
Because
It's so saturated.
Yeah, just like good music, you know, bad music is real easy to make really fast.
Yep.
And, you know, put it out there. And, you know, God help the kids out there these days. I mean, they have to get compared to everybody that was being recorded in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. And it's like, there's just such a huge volume of great music out there. It doesn't matter how good your writing or your playing skills are, you're immediately going to get compared to, you know, Lennon and McCartney or, you know, Keith Richards and Mick Jagger or whoever it is you love. It's like you're going to get compared to them because there's no way to write songs now that don't sound like something that somebody else has already done. I mean, you know, there's only 12 tones in the scale.
Right. Even my own music, I can hear my influences in my own music,
which is good. You know, you
Yeah.
should be able to. But unfortunately, it's like when you put it out there, what happens immediately? Somebody says, "Oh, it sounds like so and so," or "It sounds like these guys." And you know, unfortunately, it's like if you're a fan of those guys, everything you do that sounds like them is always going to kind of pale in comparison.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the reality we live with these days. I think you have to make music for yourself.
Yes.
You know, if you have to make some money at it, good on you. But if you're truly a musician, truly a composer, it's like, well, do it despite the audience. Do it despite, you know, whatever recognition or appreciation you get.
Yep.
You just have to do it because you love music.
And I completely agree with what you just said. You know, I'm not doing it for any kind of recognition or money. It really is just for myself. And I've got a lot of friends I think will appreciate it. And so I'll put it up them and maybe they'll like it and maybe they won't. And that's a different story. That's a different conversation. I did it. I put it out there and I enjoy it. And that's all that matters to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, once again, it's like I quote Frank Zappa a lot.
Okay.
He's like one of my big idols in life. He seemed to just do everything right. But he would, you know, come right out and tell people that, you know, I don't care if anybody likes my music.
Exactly.
You know, it's great if I make some sales, but I'm doing these things because I want to be able to hear,
Yep.
you know, in the air what's going on in my head. And, you know, I'd like to be able to see if it's as good as I think it is.
Absolutely.
You know, and sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. But with Zappa, it usually was.
Yep.
So,
One of actually interesting note, one of my big influences, Metallica, they have always said the same thing. I don't know how familiar you are with Metallica's history, but there was there was a point in their history, the very low point, and they're like, "Oh, you're selling out," and whatever. And they were very honest about, "Well, I didn't write this music for you. I wrote it for me.
right.
And if you like it, hey, and if you don't,
Sure. Well, you know, that kind of genre of music, you know, the like speed metal, is that what they like to call Metallica?
oh, heavy metal nowadays."
Heavy metal?
Yeah,
Okay, well, you know, it sort of went over my
Sure.
head at that time because I was a little too old to really appreciate it.
nah,
And of course my ears were too
Nah.
to a different thing.
I don't believe that.
But I will say, you know, I've read interviews with James Hetfield. It's like that guy's, he's always on the mark.
Yeah.
You know, he's a smart guy. And you can't take anything away from his musicianship. The guy is good.
Yeah.
You know, the whole band is just, they're all fantastic musicians. And you know, while their style may not be something I have to listen to every day.
Sure.
When I do hear it, I always go, those just can play.
Yeah.
You know, they really can. Good writers too. You know, I remember somebody played me this song of theirs, you know, and the theme of it was this guy who had his arms and legs blown off. And
One.
that's
Yep.
the one, yeah.
Yep.
And he was doing Morse code with his head. And I thought, you know, this is clever.
Yeah.
These guys really have some interesting ideas about writing. So I've always appreciated it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jeremy, are there any musicians or bands that you don't like but you respect them?
That I don't like but respect. Rush.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. I like all of those musicians independently. I mean, they're mind-blowingly good, but none of their writing ever appealed to me. And I didn't really like Geddy Lee's voice.
I've mentioned that before.
It's Geddy Lee's voice that just again, as we all have agreed, I totally respect every member of that band, Geddy Lee included. But absolutely.
Oh, and playing keyboard with his feet.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Singing? Yeah,
Wait.
He's got a big keyboard that he steps on.
No.
He's playing and singing.
That is unreal.
And everybody's like, Neil's awesome. I'm like, that guy's playing bass, singing, and playing keyboard with his feet. And you're looking at the drummer.
that is really impressive.
Yeah.
But again, his vocal style
just didn't hit you.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah. I was the same way with those guys, and I tried to like them. I bought their albums. I've listened to pretty much
absolutely
everything they've ever done. I think. And I always come away with it going, A, brilliant musicians, B, totally unlistenable music after about 5 minutes. It just didn't work. I had the same problem with U2.
Sure.
It's like I agree that they're probably, great writers, great musicians, great, songsters, but their music didn't hit me the way it needs to hit me for me to actually go out and pay for their music.
Absolutely.
Same thing. I'm not a U2 guy.
Yeah. No. I'll be damned. I'm wondering if maybe that's more of a prevalent thing.
I guarantee you it is. U2 is so popular that I think people were afraid to say for a while. So I don't really care for it. But there were a few of us that's like, they're good, but can we listen to something else?
Yeah.
Maybe. I had the same problem with the Police. I can go back and listen to those guys, and now, Stuart Copeland is one of my favorite drummers of all time. I think the guy's amazing. I think, Sting is a great bass player.
Yeah.
Probably a great singer. I don't like his voice either.
Okay.
And, Andy Summers, great guitar player. But when you put them all three together, they come up with these things that, they sold a lot of records, but not to me.
Yeah.
It's
not to me.
Yeah.
I think I enjoyed Sting's solo work more than I did the Police.
I saw him open up for the Grateful Dead one time, and it was one of the best shows I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, he was fantastic. He had this great band. Had this guy named Vinnie Colaiuta playing drums with him, who was one of Frank Zappa's, drummers. And that guy's just an amazing musician. I can't remember who else he had in that band, but they were phenomenal. And I was entertained from the very beginning to the very end of his set. I go out and buy his albums after that. I just, once again, it didn't hit me down in the gut. When you hear Metallica, it hits you somewhere.
Yeah, it really does.
And it's like, well, with me, it's the Grateful Dead. It's
Sure.
like I can listen to Grateful Dead music all day long, and I don't get bored with it. And, I understand why other people do get bored with it, because it really can be monotonous if you're not, familiar with it.
So I do have a question about that.
Sure.
I'm not very well versed on the Grateful Dead. From what I understand, they're considered more of a jam band, I suppose.
Well, they were kind of the prototype for the jam band, and their history. They were sort of born during the Ken Kesey acid tests in the 1960s, where they would get up and they would play to a bunch of people who had, dosed up on really potent LSD. A very vulnerable crowd. They didn't like anything. It
Right.
didn't matter what you did. So they were kind of free to experiment, and they did.
Right.
They got up there and they played a lot of free form music, probably because they were all tripping too.
Right.
And they just had a real good time for about 3 or 4 hours. And that kind of became the blueprint for a Grateful Dead show, 3 or 4 hours of nonstop jamming.
Right.
And they had a few songs that they would play. But as you may or may not know, when you're in that state of mind, you tend to wander off the path a little bit.
Okay.
And they did a lot of that. And then they would find their way back eventually. And they wrote a whole lot of... as it turns out, Jerry Garcia was a really good songwriter. He couldn't write lyrics to save his life, but he could write really cool arrangements. And his best buddy, this guy named Robert Hunter, was a really, really great poet. And they just got together and they started, putting out all this material. And it's definitely a taste thing. It's like if you like the flavor of what they're doing, you really like it.
Yeah.
But if you don't, it's never likely to appeal to you. And so, that's why it's sort of a watershed band. But they were also one of the world's greatest cover bands, too. I mean, it's like they would cover people's other music from, they did stuff by the Rascals. They did stuff by the Stones. They did stuff by the Beatles. They did Sam Cooke. And they did really good jobs with it. They put their own specific, twist on everything that they did, but they did it in a way that you could recognize it and enjoy it, regardless of whether you were into their music. You'd probably like their version of Good Lovin' or their version of Not Fade Away, something like that. And they got away with it. That was the biggest thing, that everybody loves about the Grateful Dead. It's like they didn't work really hard. They just had fun doing what they were doing. And they got
That's the dream, though.
For about 40 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And I am actually kind of interested in hearing your opinion about this. You were talking about how they were a great cover band. Whenever it comes to covers, in your opinion, it's better to do a cover through to the original, or do you change it up a little bit? And
yeah, it depends on who's doing it.
Okay.
I mean, I've played with musicians who really want things picture perfect.
Yeah.
That's really not my style.
Right.
I get bored with that. I tend to, once I know a song, I tend to wander off the beaten path with it, just because of the fact that I do like to bring that jam element into everything I do.
Okay.
But if you're doing it for people who are paying you, you better do it right.
That's the damn truth.
Mm-hmm.
That is the damn truth. If you are going to cover it, you better. There have been a few times that really resonates with me. By the way, there have been a few times I've seen somebody do a cover, and I'm just sitting there like, no. Yeah, you fucked up the lyrics, or you didn't play this part right. I saw you try. Nice try. You didn't do it right.
Hey, just because you're being creative doesn't mean you're doing it well.
Right.
Sometimes it's good to stick to the beaten path with these things, I think. But the musicians that we really, want to see, the people that we would go out of our way to find, to go to see in concert, they're not people who, try to recreate something off the record time after time, especially if it's somebody else's.
Yep.
They're people who have something to say that's worth listening to, as opposed to just, parroting what the last guy did. I mean, I've seen 1,000 people do Brown Eyed Girl.
Yes.
Mustang Sally.
Yep.
Once in a while, you'll see somebody bring something new to it, so the groan in the room, from all the musicians who have heard it so many times.
Yes.
It turns from a groan into, oh, that's interesting.
Yep.
You've got a different spin on it.
I think a good example of that for me is Hotel California. I can't tell you how many times I've seen bands cover that song, and it's like, you're not going to play the solo right. I know you're not.
Right.
So can we not? And then they get to the solo and
Hello, Simple Man.
Oh, Simple Man. Yeah, it's like everybody in South Georgia used to do that song. I'm from South Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, it's such a well-written song, such a fantastic
Absolutely.
piece of sound, and yet by virtue of the fact that people have just done it over and over again,
Yeah.
it's just so watered down now.
Yeah.
You don't get that impact that once was there.
I think Shinedown did a really great cover of Simple Man.
Mm-hmm.
Shinedown is a local band.
No, they are a signed national.
Ah,
Yeah, they are a very well established. I'll say hard rock band.
gotcha.
Their vocalist Brett Smith, I think. I his first name is Brett. I can't remember his last name right now. Anyways, he has this crazy vocal range,
Right.
and he could hit all those high notes and come down and everything. When the song was recorded, it was recorded just acoustic, and oh man, it's a really it's one of the best covers of Simple Man that I've seen.
Well, you gotta love it when somebody takes a standard and brings something really notable to it.
Yeah.
And so many of Skinner's songs have been just done to death.
Yes, they have.
But then once in a while, you'll hear somebody come along and do something that makes you go, "Ah,
yeah.
Okay, I forgot. I love this song."
Yes.
And, I love it because you're doing it well right now.
Yes.
You remember when Chris Stapleton did Whipping Post?
Okay.
Yeah, I think, was it that, or did he do Midnight Rider? It was one of those two that, well, big country star, and he does an
Absolutely.
Allman Brothers cover. And
Okay.
It was good. He did a great job on this song that every bar band's been doing for the last 50 years. At one time or another, everybody's had to do Whipping Post, and usually they get it wrong. This guy got it right.
Right.
And, he performed it, not just professionally, but like he loved the song. It's
Absolutely.
Like you can tell, it's like when he's doing it, it's like he's having a real good time with it. That seems to be what gets across to audiences more than anything else. When a musician is having fun and loving what he's doing, is like something about that's very infectious.
Chris Stapleton came in on the country music scene at a really interesting time, in the sense that there was a lot of the I'll say bro country, a la Florida, Georgia, all those guys, right? Yeah. He came in. Chris Stapleton came in at the very heart of all that, and he is not bro country at all. He's about as close to what I'll dangerously say is traditional country, or as close to it as you're going to get right now.
Right.
I'm not very well versed in his music. I've heard several of his songs though, and that's another one that I've got a lot of respect for.
Well, he's, once again, it's like when you see this guy performing, two things. It's like, A, he has worked on his craft.
Yeah.
B, he didn't make it on his looks. It's all about your story.
Him and Jamie Johnson. I'm a huge Jamie Johnson fan, and those two guys, the fucking huge beards and long hair that I'm kind of trying to emulate at the moment.
It's very fashionable.
Yes, I'd say so. Thank you. Not Daddy's Country at all.
Right.
Not not the Conway Twitties and Willie Nelsons at all.
You're right. And Conway Twitty and Willie Nelson are people you get to a certain age after hating them your whole life, and you turn around and you go, oh yeah, those guys really are good.
Yeah.
You just had them forced down your throat at one time, and you can't.
Oh yes.
You can't enjoy it if it's being forced on.
Oh yeah. Yep. Very true.
Something we all learned the hard way. If you've ever been around deadheads, they will make you listen to the Grateful Dead because they're sure you're going to come around.
Right.
And there's nothing like listening to, 4 hours of dead.
We're gonna fucking make you like it.
Yeah, it's like that turns people off worse than anything. I've tried to turn a lot of people on to Zappa in the past, and that doesn't work. It's like if you hear him and you like him, it's very quick. And if you hear him and you don't like him, chances are you're never really gonna.
I wanna come back to this.
Okay.
For Zappa, do we have any comments? I can't see the TV.
Yeah, we got a few comments going on
see
here.
that up there?
All right, so we left off with this one, Buck. We'll do it again. That's right. Get you some.
Star Wars fans.
I see.
Oh yeah, Rockadillion said first look publicly November 17th, Thrash Giving Fest at Legacy at the Riverfront. Local acts by Satin, Our Final Feud, The Dying Breed, and Yours Truly. I've never heard of Yours Truly. Mystery.
That's a great name for a band.
It is. Mystery regional headliners to be announced. TBA.
Oh,
That's what's up. Good looking out, guys. The exclusive.
Hello,
Then
Dawn.
Don said he's one cool dude.
She's
True
my
story.
across the street neighbor.
oh, nice.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
she's a
actually the one that
sweetie.
hit me to you guys. Told me I should give you a call.
Outstanding.
Yes. We love Don in this area. Where these are a bunch of questions. Samantha's piling on the questions.
Ben is always late.
Susie,
Thank you, Susie.
Susie says Ben is always
I
late.
love Susie Simonette. She lives
And
in
then Don
Chicago.
said, glad he
I'm
made
going
it.
to visit her in a few weeks.
Samantha says it's the musical door game. And Don said, oh shit. And then everybody, all right. Yeah, hey Ben. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you.
What's up, Ben?
You
Howdy,
too.
neighbor.
Hi there.
Debbie says, hi, Ben. Good to see you on this awesome podcast, my friend. My son, Dick Burke, is jamming in the band shed tonight also. Oh,
Nice.
Very cool.
Outstanding.
Yes. Shout out Dick
Well,
Burke,
break
Q's and
away,
Muses.
Fighting Giants.
Yeah, Fighting Giant. I can't think of a project he's not in.
Yeah, I know, right? Fighting Giants, Core.
I think.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
About the,
Johnny Got His Gun by Dalton Trumbo tells a tale of that soldier who lost his arms and legs. That song gave me chills. Gene Loy. Hey, Gene. What's up, buddy?
Gene.
He said, not my style as well. I think that was back on the Rush stuff.
yeah.
And then he says, we'll be playing at Smitty's Friday night.
Oh, no kidding. That place has got a stage now, I guess.
Nice. Got a few chat questions. So we totally skipped like the basics. Like, how long have you been doing this?
Oh, yeah.
Who are you and what do you do?
I am 60 years old. I started playing guitar when I was 15. So
That's like 30 years.
45
I think
years.
I think your math needs some attention there, buddy.
Yeah.
I think I'd be better by now, but here we are. And I'm from South Georgia. Grew up with my formative years, like before I had started school. You can still hear the Beatles and the Rolling Stones on the radio. The Kinks and the Who. That sort of pardon me. I get back. That's my buddy Lee. That kind of stuff it inhabited my skull and it stayed with me. And for some reason, I could always remember the old Beatles songs and the old Stones songs and the Who and the Kinks, the British Invasion guys. But I grew up listening to a lot more country music than anything else. About 11, my mom bought me a guitar, which I proceeded to take lessons for and did not take. I didn't enjoy it, so I put it in the closet for about 4 years and then picked it up again when I was 15 because a buddy of mine who just died, a guy named Jason Geist, shout out to Jason, taught me the D chord. And
Yes.
once you learn the D,
Oh yeah.
you're a guitar player.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all there is to it. And from there, I, kind of took off on my own, discovered Carlos Santana.
Okay.
If you want to make a teenage kid love the electric guitar, listen to Santana.
Yep.
I mean, it works. And started listening to rock again after having listened to country because that was what was available to me. And now I've got this really broad, eclectic taste in music. So played in a band in college and then played in a whole bunch of bands when I moved to Chicago. And didn't get rich, didn't get famous.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Wait a minute.
It's amazing. And
What?
I thought it was automatic.
you'd think-
Oh fuck.
I thought once you got your guitar, it came with like a contract.
Oh, I didn't get that memo.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it didn't work for me, nor most of my friends or associates. I did actually. I was in school at the University of Georgia when before REM put out Radio Free Europe, and I got to see them before they were famous. I wasn't impressed by them back then, but I kind of developed a real appreciation for them.
Is that in Athens?
In Athens,
Yep.
Georgia? Yeah. And I also knew the guys in Widespread Panic before they were a band. And I lived in the dorms with Dave Schools, the bass player, who's a phenomenal bass player. And got to see them, at the same time as my band was out. They were out, but they were a lot better. And, they were much more focused on success. And they became a monster band. I knew Vic Chestnut. Are you familiar with Vic Chestnut?
I know Mark Chestnut.
Okay, not the same one. He's sort of a very punk-oriented folk singer, songwriter. Maybe that would be the best way. Anyway, he got a good bit of notice back in the '90s, and I knew him before he did anything. But most of the people that I've played music with or, done any business with, well, most of us, they're just like me. It's like they do it for fun.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of them are songwriters. There's some really good songwriters in my circle, people who really deserve to be known and noticed. But, getting famous as a songwriter really does require a break. And, you got to get lucky. And so far, none of us have. So. There we are.
Yep. Yeah, I missed
Well, me neither.
missed
Buddy.
that one.
Don't stop. Just keep on it. You never know when that one thing will come to mind that
Right.
makes that song that everybody loves. The lady who wrote Tennessee Whiskey, what's her name? She's from around here. She had a few
I-
good songs, but
I
that was
didn't-
the one that just broke her open. Yeah, she's a Tallahassee.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, did not know that.
I'll be damned.
that's right. And there's a lot of famous people from around this area. If you include the Cairo, Georgia area, I mean, it's a phenomenally large number of people who, came from out here that made it big. Nowadays, you'd think, well, it's easier than ever to do that because, look, we're broadcasting and people are watching and listening to us. But there again, now you're fighting that tidal wave of people that are all doing the same thing.
It is so saturated. It really is. You mentioned people. Excuse me. People in this area making it. The year that I moved to Tallahassee from Mariana. Thank you. I want to say there were 5 bands that were signed, all within around the same time. Presence, I think Big Dismal was one of them. There's about 5 bands that were signed with about the same. Social Burn, that was one that got signed. They've all fucking faded out and gone away though.
Yeah, signed by who? That's the important part because we would get contract. We'd get one contract a month.
No kidding.
And we would turn them all down because it was all just
I know
2 guys in the garage record label.
I know Social Burn was signed to Elektra. I want
Really?
to say, yeah,
It's big.
yeah. Wait, or was it Wind Up? It might have been Wind Up, actually. Anyways, it was a pretty major.
Somebody got an offer from Elektra, though.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's huge. And of course, the problem back then was that these record companies, they were out like a damn looking for like one of those whales that swims along and just sucks up all the krill out. You know, it's like every band that comes along, they suck them up and sign them to a contract. But the contract didn't include any money up front. You know,
Right.
What it included was, well, you're signed to us, so everything you write, we are entitled to review, assess, and either
Alter.
alter
Yeah.
and then reject ultimately.
Yep.
Or else if we like it, you know, we'll give you, some time in the studio to record it, but we're also entitled to like give it to somebody else if we like it a lot. And you get, a small commission on that. But because we've got your publishing rights, since you signed them over to us on the contract, you're not going to make much money on your songs.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of scam going on in the music industry, always has been.
Yeah, we would see shit like, they would assign us a tour manager that we had to pay for.
That you had to pay for.
Yeah.
What?
And then, we could also, that tour manager would set up a tour. So we would have a tour to go to. And then we would have to figure out how we're going to do that. I was like, so what exactly are you guys doing?
Right.
Well, we assign you a tour manager. I'm like, well, I can have somebody else do that. I don't need you to do that. Well, you're signed. That doesn't mean shit.
Right.
Yeah. No.
Musicians, man, we're gullible.
Oh, yeah.
We will bite that bait just because it's like we want it so bad.
Mhm.
You really want to make music for a living, and you want it enough that sometimes you'll skip over the fine print. And you'll also bend over backwards just to get a little bit of acknowledgement. And unfortunately, it's like, the unscrupulous businessmen of the world, they see that, it's like we're easy marks. That's what I like. Have you ever heard of Lorena McKinnett?
I have not.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody, if you've never heard of Lorena McKinnett, look her up online and listen to her stuff. She's brilliant. But she was one of those kind of people that became an indie star before she had to sign any contracts with any record companies. She got very big just touring around Canada and the northern United States, playing her stuff in one-woman shows or, two-man band type situations, and recorded the whole time. And when she finally hit it big, every record company in the country wanted a piece of her, and she was able to dictate her terms in such a way. Oh yeah, she bent the record company over the barrel.
Yeah.
Try to do it.
And, it's one of those moments where, finally a musician gets a break and gets to turn it around on the people who've taken advantage of them. But I'm going to see her in November, on November 4th. I'm going to Chicago to see her play at the Auditorium Theater, which sounds crazy, but she doesn't tour down here. She doesn't tour anywhere. So I just grabbed the opportunity. You were talking about Hotel California a little while ago. The Gypsy Kings are playing Friday at the Adderley Amphitheater, and they do that version of Hotel California that was in that movie, The Big Lebowski. You remember that flamenco version of it?
Oh, I have not seen Big Lebowski, and I should.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Well, the moment Jesus picks up his bowling ball and licks it, they start playing Hotel California by the Gypsy Kings, and it's just phenomenal. It's one of those covers that, it doesn't sound like the original much at all because it's flamenco guitars.
Right.
Wow, it's worth your while.
Oh, it's played by a flamenco guitarist.
It's a man with like four, expert flamenco guitarists.
Right.
Plus a bass and drums and keys and horns, the whole 9 yards. They're worth seeing.
Why do I not remember Then again, I haven't. It has to have been 10 years since I've watched that movie, which is a shame because it's a really good movie.
It's one of the all-time great.
Yeah, The Dude Abides.
So many quotable lines out of that.
My favorite is well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, I always think about when Walter and the dude are sitting at the bar, and he says they're talking about the guys that attacked him. He's like, no, they weren't Nazis, they were nihilists. Walter goes, nihilists? Fuck me. I mean, at least the Nazis had an ethos. Man, what the hell are you talking about? Anyway. So yeah, music is good.
Yes, it is. You were talking about Frank Zappa.
Yes.
Earlier. What's your draw to Frank Zappa?
To Frank Zappa, I was in a record store when I was in high school, and a friend of mine pulled out Joe's Garage from the bin. He said, "Hey, there's a song on here that called Why Does It Hurt When I Pee?"
No,
I gotta hear that. So
That's
I bought the
fucking
record, and it mesmerized me. So I went and bought another one, and then another one, and next thing you know, I had about 40 of his albums, which is far from the whole collection, but he gets me.
absolutely.
Yeah.
One really good example of that for me was the band Tool, their album Undertow. I was already kind of into rock and metal at the time, but I really was not familiar with Tool at all at the time. And so I picked up their CD. I was at a CD shop, back when we had CD shops.
Right.
I was looking at the Undertow.
Sounds like a long time ago.
Yeah, and there were I was looking at the track listing, and like I said, there were some really interesting name or
Right.
song names, like I think Prison Sex is one of them. And I looked at that, I was like, what the hell? Kind of like what you were just talking about. And I'm pretty sure I bought that CD for no other fucking reason.
Back then you couldn't just hop on YouTube.
Yeah, no,
punch it in.
no.
You had to rely on the picture on the album cover,
Yep.
or a great song title,
Right.
if nobody had already turned you on to it.
Right.
Yeah, that was me. Primus, Sailing the Seas of Cheese.
Okay.
I picked that album up, and I'm like, what the hell is going on
Right.
here? And I'm looking at songs, Sailing the Seas of Cheese and all that kind of shit. And I was just like, I have to have this just to see what's going on. If it's crap, I'll give it to a buddy of mine.
Yeah.
Now I own everything Les Claypool.
Yeah.
I'm with you, man. Yeah, no.
Yeah, all the Purple Onion stuff and all that stuff.
I remember that. You remember the song Mr. Crinkle?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did a video of that, which, is just one of the most bizarre videos I had ever seen. But I had to go out and buy the album after that because it was Primus and they were great. Now I never got that deep into them. I discovered after 2 or 3 CDs of their stuff, it's like, well, I've got a limited tolerance for that much.
Speaking of awesome covers, and I think I mentioned this before on another show, they did Have a Cigar.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
And that was fucking killer.
You can hear that one on YouTube right now.
Yeah, it's on an album, Miscellaneous Debris. And that whole album, I want to say it's like 5-6 songs, and they're all covers. And yeah, it's pretty badass.
That's cool. No, that guy's one of the bass players that always, he knocks me out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not because he's fast as hell, but because he comes up with stuff it's not just interesting, it's funny. It's like he's one of those guys that can inject humor into his instrumental, music, and something to it. Trey Anastasio with Fish, I love that guy's playing. People telling you, no, he's real repetitive, and he's really, really, I don't know, monotonous. And I'm like, nah, we're not hearing the same things here. We're hearing 2 different things. I think this guy's brilliant. But Fish is another one of those bands. It's like you listen to them, you love them or you hate them. Sometimes you can be turned on to them. First time I ever saw them, they were opening up for Santana out in California.
Oh, damn.
Oh yeah, and I was like, they come out bouncing on trampolines and playing the vacuum cleaner. I'm like, this is not what I came here to see. Hear these guys. Plus, I don't think they had the best end of the sound system to work with. I think that was all reserved for Santana. But a buddy of mine, a drummer in one of my bands, he told me, it's like, no, dude, you got to see him in the right way. Come with me. So we went and saw him up in Madison, Wisconsin. I got it. After that, I was like, okay, these guys are great. That happens a lot, actually. I find that, with me, I don't necessarily like good music the first time I hear it. I have to, I got to get used to it before I can really, fall for it. So that happened with the Dead. I didn't like them. A lot of the newer bands in the 80s, there was a pretty decent punk scene going on in Athens, and I'd hear a lot of these bands the first time. I'm like, these guys are crap. And then you hear them a few other times because you were forced to hear them at a party or something, and after a while you're like, oh, okay, I see what they're getting at.
That is a really interesting occurrence. How you have to let it marinate.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
It has to be lived with.
Yeah, you have to live with it for a little bit. Yeah. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but that just happens so many times where you listen to something the first time, and it's like, no. Right. And then you hear it, and and it's like, you know what? Start to like this.
I got a band that did exactly that to me. The Insane Clown Posse. First time I heard them, I was like, this shit is stupid.
Not
20 years later, I have an entire sleeve of clowns. I have everything they've done on CD. I probably have 3,000 CDs.
Holy crap.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I had boxes and boxes and boxes.
Damn.
Did you buy them all full price?
Almost. I even got a couple that I found out that were limited presses. I didn't know.
Oh.
Yeah, I had a girlfriend look one up one time, and she's like, "Hey, I want this CD." And I looked it up, and I bought it for $12, and it was going for like $3.50 on eBay.
Right.
And I was like, "Yeah, I'll burn you a copy for $50. How about that?"
Now, here's a cool question: how many of them were from Vinyl Fever?
Not many.
Oh, really?
I wasn't. Yeah.
Oh, you weren't here.
I moved here in 2006.
Okay, Vinyl Fever was probably just going under, right around, if not before then.
Was
Yeah.
that a chain or was that an independent?
Oh, it was an independent local music shop
down
on Pensacola Street,
yeah.
And I just have so many very warm feelings about going into this place, and I mean, it was full on record shop. Music shop. They sold movies. They sold merchandise. They sold a little bullshit here and there. Right. Stupid T-shirts and shit like that.
Do you ever get the feeling that kids are missing a whole thing in life by not having record stores?
Oh, absolutely.
I know exactly what they're missing too.
Yes.
I used to do this. Pick up a tape. You run home, pop it in the tape player, you unfold it, and read every lyric as the song plays. You go through just sitting there Indian style, reading every one of them.
Yep, absorbing all of it.
And that's only the first time you went through it.
Yep, that was the first time.
Yeah,
yeah, one of many times.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's just press play real quick on a song. You listen to it for a second, be like, oh, that's cool. And you just discard it.
But the record store was kind of a sacred place too. I mean,
yes.
Where you would go to like immerse yourself in all the possibilities. Yeah. It's like back when we were doing 12-inch vinyl albums.
Absolutely.
It's like you'd thumb through these things and you'd find the new stuff, and then you'd find the old stuff that maybe you'd heard about. And you just have all these wonderful choices, but they were right there, touchable.
Yes,
and
it's tangible.
It was a solid piece of merchandise.
Yes,
and the album covers, they used to be so brilliant. The Exile on Main Street that the Rolling Stones put out. It's like, you ever look at that thing, it's just like, God, this is like reading the world's most subversive comic strip, it's just got all these pictures of circus freaks, things that you would not see on albums these days, because it was very politically incorrect what they were doing. But back then, the album cover was such a work of art. If you got it at 12 inches,
Yes.
just, it was like buying two things. You're buying music and you're buying art.
Absolutely.
And, just going to the location where you see all your fellow music nerds, they were all hanging out and, arguing about this band or that. And, you've seen High Fidelity, right?
Yes.
John Cusack. It was like, that's one of my touchstone movies right there, because I had such a love for old vinyl records.
Yes.
Especially the independent ones.
And going to the vinyl stores, it was really interesting. Kind of like what you said earlier, you don't have YouTube, in the 80s and 90s.
You had to take a chance with
You had to take a chance, right? You taking a gamble, especially if it's a band you're not familiar with or haven't heard before, like that Tool CD I mentioned earlier. I had heard of them, but only heard of them. Had no idea what their music was, and it just so happened that I enjoyed the music on there. But still, you kind of take a gamble a little bit, and you learned what you liked and what you didn't like.
Yes. And, you got burned a few times.
Yeah, you got burned a few times.
Like, during the 70s, there was this thing that started happening, mid to late 70s, where all of these bands were popping out with albums. I mean, it's like they were coming up with new bands, new albums, just left and right. And you'd go out and buy something by them, and you'd get that one good song you'd heard on the radio.
Yes.
And then the rest of it was crap.
Oh my God.
I did that so many times. I'm on albums. It's like that one song I like, and everything else is just a drag.
Yes.
Blur. Gong too.
I swear I was getting ready to say that.
Yeah.
I swear I was just getting ready to say that.
It was trash.
It was garbage.
Except for that song.
There was one other song on that album that was okay. I mean, it was just okay. I couldn't even. The music video had a milk box on it. That's fucking all I remember about the song. I don't even remember anything else about the song other than the music video. But otherwise, yeah, just utter garbage.
Right.
Blur.
Well,
oh my God.
In many ways, we live in better times, because you do get to pick and choose what you pay for these days,
Or what you don't pay for.
You don't pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think I've bought music in 10 years or so. Since I finally got into YouTube and realized just how great that is. It's like I feel bad for all these people I would have normally spent money on, because I'm not spending a dime on many musicians at all. That's why, it's important to, support the live venues.
Yes.
It's a very good point. I spend money buying tickets.
Yes.
As should you. December 9th, Legacy at the Riverfront. Doors at 5. Go there, right? We got a couple chat questions.
Tickets are what, $10, I think?
Yeah,
15?
so.
$10-15.
Yeah. Not much. Less than the price of the CD.
It's for a good cause. For PACT.
Yep.
PACT. Charitable. So people really need to go and check them out, but they do a lot of music lessons and things of that nature. And yeah, no.
They do so much. I have a hard time keeping up sometimes.
Yeah. Yes. Try to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they are absolutely crushing it.
Yes, they are.
A couple questions from Samantha. You ready for this?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
All right. You want to do one?
Absolutely.
What's something you've done but you'll never do again?
Are we talking about music or in general?
In general.
Let's.
In general.
Both. Both.
Well,
All the above. See.
I mixed beer and cherry slow gin one time. That was a pretty bad.
Did you do that?
Wait, what?
16 years old.
What kind of beer was it?
Oh, probably PBR.
Oh,
cheap. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, but
Want a beer?
sure, why not? Very nice. went rock climbing once at Mount Yona, and didn't realize how high I was until I was halfway up a rock face, and I turned around and looked, and I immediately froze up and realized I don't want to rock climb anymore.
Oh, high as an elevation.
High.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
not
Altitude with nothing between me. Yeah, no, I was very, very lucid that moment.
I just imagine you like 2 steps up on a rock, just screaming off your lungs.
Well, that's the way the beats go. That's how we do it.
They're just walking down the trail. What the hell is he doing?
Well, that's the way rock climbers kind of are. You see a lot of them, you're like, oh, you're not with us here, are you? I mean, you have to have a certain amount of insanity to do what some of those guys do.
Yes.
That's not something I'm going to spend time and money doing.
At this point,
Rock climbing and mountain climbing, these guys that go up on Everest, no fucking thank you.
Oh, you know it, man. As they say, every dead body up there was once a very motivated person.
Right. And
Well,
there are a couple.
I love the mountains, but I don't.
Absolutely.
I don't like to be, hanging from a cord, with nothing between me and 500 feet of rock.
Yep.
Air. So that's what I won't do again. So,
What about musically?
musically, I'll never join another band that wants perfect reproductions of cover songs.
Okay.
Yes.
I like it.
I've done that a few times, and it's not my thing. I'm not good enough at ripping stuff off of a record that I can just do it quickly. And if it takes me a really long time to learn a guitar part, what's the point?
That's why I mentioned earlier. When it comes to doing covers, do your own thing with it. I gotta be honest with you. If I wanted to listen to the original song, I would go listen to the original.
Exactly.
Unless you're putting it out on a global level.
Yeah.
Like Shine Down and
Right.
Man.
Sure.
Unless you're doing that, but if you're just playing in a bar to 15 people, just wing it.
Right. And I haven't heard this Shine Down version.
Oh.
I bet they're bringing something to it that's not.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's not exactly.
I'm not a big Shine Down fan, but it's pretty good.
It's the vocals. The vocals are just. I got to see them play that song actually here in Tallahassee at one point, and it was beautiful. It was goddamn beautiful.
Well, there are some people out there that are just naturally, gifted, and sound like the vocalist of his band.
Yes.
Kind of like that.
Yep.
And whatever it is he sings is probably going to be good.
Yep. And his music writing is
Right.
pretty on par as well.
There you go. And my guess is he brings something unique to every cover he does.
Yeah.
The one of the big heartbreaks in music is finding out that the things that you do that appeal to you don't make money.
Yeah.
And the fact that people are willing to pay a certain amount for a wedding band type thing. It's like those guys, they make good money and they work hard for it, and they sometimes they have fun with what they're doing, but just as often it's not. It's like you'll see those guys leaving the video and they look like they just punched a clock. And, they're checking out, got their lunchbox in their hand, and they're heading home from a construction job. There's just that much joy in it. Whereas whenever I've played in bands where, even if we're not necessarily doing our own original compositions, but you're doing some, your own twist, you make it easy on yourself and you make it fun. It was like, good time with that. And when the night's over, you're like, oh, can we do one more? One more we were going to do. It's like, those are the good nights.
Yeah. I had mentioned that if I wanted to listen to the original cover or the original song, I would go listen to the original. Okay, maybe that was a little bit of an exaggeration. Maybe. What came to mind as we were having this conversation, one of my favorite guitar players, his name is Mark Tremonti. He was in Creed. Now Alter Bridge. He has his own solo project called Tremonti. he did a full-on cover of Frank Sinatra songs, and I mean, he did it super classy.
Okay.
Kind of somewhat low fidelity, in the way that because
For authenticity.
purposes, exactly. And kept everything true to the Sinatra sound.
Right.
And his voice, I don't want to sit here and say that he sounds like Sinatra.
Right.
He kind of does.
Well,
Yeah.
wrong with that.
Yeah, it's actually there. I don't know if you're into Frank Sinatra at all. I kind of am.
Strangely enough, I am. I like
Yeah. It's just cool, chilled out, classy music,
Yeah.
in my opinion. But yeah, he did justice.
I've done his song "Summer Wind" a couple of times.
Okay.
Yeah, a buddy of mine here in town does "Fly Me to the Moon."
Okay.
That is more the Tony Bennett version, but
Sure.
it's good. It's that whole Rat Pack group of
Yes.
guys that they had real high musical values.
Yes.
Smooth operators.
Yes.
That's exactly what they were, and at their time, when they were having their Elvis years, they were the hippest thing going.
Absolutely.
And of course, Frank Sinatra was not the guy who said, okay, RCA or Reprise, whoever it was, tell me what to do so I can sell 1 million albums.
Right.
What he did was, I got an idea and I'm going to come in and we're going to do it like this.
Yep.
And he got this guy named Nelson Riddle to do all his arrangements for him. And, Nelson Riddle's one of those, guys that, he's done so many is that like a Star Wars?
Yes, it is.
Nelson Riddle was the guy who Linda Ronstadt went to him when she wanted to make an album of old standards, and she's like, I want you to treat my arrangements just like you did Frank Sinatra's. That's
nice.
Exactly what I want. And of course, he gave her this album of standards that she did. And this was in the 1990s, when Frank Sinatra was way off of everybody's radar, but right before. She sold a zillion copies of it because it was just so great. Everything on it is fantastic.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. I digress. I'm sorry.
No. This is good.
But yeah, no, I love that old stuff. Right now, I'm playing with a band. They've brought me in to fill in for the guitar player they used to have. It's called Old Porch Swoon.
Okay.
And we're doing like a lot of 1930s and 1940s swing tunes.
Nice.
And it's acoustic.
Okay.
And there's me on guitar, a bass player who plays stand-up bass, a banjo player, and a fiddle player. And we're doing a whole lot of those really old songs that, people don't write this type of thing today, because it's corny. But if you go back and listen to them and you try to play along with them, it's like not only are these arrangements just really sophisticated, but, a lot of the writing is too. It's like you don't get how interesting some of the stuff that guys like the Mills Brothers used to do. Eddie Cantor, people like, Benny Goodman Quartet, it's like they used to do really, really sophisticated stuff, but it's fun too. It's not just, highbrow jazz.
Right.
It's swing, it's stuff to get people up out of their seats.
Right. It's up tempo.
Yes, it's very up tempo and it's fun, and it's kind of silly in a lot of places in a lot of ways, but holy crap, man, it's very satisfying stuff to perform.
I'm sure, especially at the time that music was being written, it was needed.
Oh, it was absolutely. Well, in the 1930s, of course, they had
the
Depression going.
Exactly.
Then in the 1940s, they had World War II happening.
Exactly.
So, these people really needed a boost.
Yes.
And some of those Tin Pan Alley songwriters, they were right on time.
Right.
They knew how to write something to make you feel better.
And nowhere better to turn to than to music.
Absolutely.
Speaking of, We are at the almost hour and a half mark.
Oh shit!
Oh my goodness.
Let's play a little Artichoke Heart. Take ourselves a quick 2.5 minute break.
Yeah.
And then we will BRB. LOL.
My little sweet potato, my country fried tomato, you're hotter than a pepper and sweeter than a strawberry tart. My little artichoke heart, I loved you since I met you, I worked so hard to get you, you finally let me catch you, now I swear to you we never will part. My little artichoke heart. Well, who'd have thought such a tough outside could hide such a soft beneath? I swear that I ain't fooling when I say you got me drooling. Oh, you look good enough to eat. Well, underneath the armor, she's quite the little charmer. Like to take her by the petals and slowly pull her peelings apart. My little artichoke heart. Points are quite defensive, your taste is too expensive. Approaching you, I'm pensive, got to get you in my grocery cart. My little artichoke heart. My little sweet potato, my country fried tomato, you're hotter than a pepper and sweeter than a strawberry tart. My little artichoke heart. My little artichoke heart.
Yes.
I appreciate that your producer or sound engineer, whoever it was that left the kazoo. It adds to the feeling of the song. It's kind of a lighthearted.
It is.
And the kazoo is kind of it really lends to that.
He called it comedy, you know.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
This is a comedy song. And you know, at first I was like, no, this is very serious. But what the hell's wrong with comedy?
Artichoke Heart.
I like comedy, you know. I like Frank Zappa. I like Loudon Wainwright. What's wrong with funny?
You
It
know,
reminded me very Captain Hook.
Yes,
Ish.
Dr. Hook.
Dr. Hook.
Yeah,
You said Captain Hook. I was like that.
Yeah, no.
Dr.
I
Hook.
screwed that up.
Captain Hook is the pirate.
I kind of like what we were saying earlier, you know, talking about comparisons and everything. And please forgive me for this comparison. I was thinking as I was listening to your music, and it hit me when I was listening to the song. I don't remember the name of it, but the one about the guy that stole the hat off the cop's head. It reminded me of Ray Stevens.
See, I take that as a compliment because I think Ray Stevens has written some great songs.
Yes, he has.
I don't care for his politics, but I think he has written some really good songs.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, you know, if you can write topical humor songs and get them on the radio, you got some talent.
Yeah.
You really do. And, I mean, you go back and listen to his stuff, it's like, well, it ages well. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Even something like The Streak, which is,
Yes.
is very dated, but, you know,
It's a classic, though.
it's a classic, and the music is good.
Yes.
And you know, he managed to capture that zeitgeist of the moment. You know?
Absolutely.
He just really nailed the whole late 1970s idea of what it's like to be outrageous and what the rest of the world was experiencing when all these college kids decided we're going to take off our clothes and run down the street. He nailed the feeling there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what came to mind. Please forgive the phrase here. Just sort of a silly damn song about a guy that stole a hat off a cop's head.
Yeah, it's called "Hard to Believe."
Yes,
it's. I like to tell people it's one of the things you see in the parking lot of Grateful Dead concerts. Just one of those. Now, it really didn't actually happen.
I was going to ask you if it happened.
It's not quite a true story.
Okay. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I know. I wish I could tell people, oh, yeah, it really happened. Not exactly. But, it's like a few different things all sort of glued together.
Yeah.
But it was originally inspired by a comic strip in one of those underground comics called the Freak Brothers.
Okay.
It was real big back in the 1960s and early 70s, but it's about three hippies that sit around smoking pot all the time. And it just had this one panel on one page of this guy with a cop's hat in his head, and he's butt naked and he's running, and the cop's chasing him, waving his billy club, and the guy's thought balloon over his head says, "This is going to make a great story."
And pretty song it did.
And, I think it did.
Yeah.
That was also the first and only song I ever wrote on banjo. I'm actually playing the banjo on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another song that I wanted to ask you about was Sookie.
Sookie, yeah. That's based on that show that was on
True Blood.
True Blood, exactly.
I know it.
Yeah. Well, I thought about it, it's like, well, it's a show about hillbilly vampires.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what if one of those hillbilly vampires wrote a song? It's like, what would it sound like?
It sounds Sookie, Sookie, Sookie.
Wrote it in the shower.
That is hilarious. You wrote that song?
That's another one that took me about 15, 20 minutes to write.
Yeah.
And, I had a little bit of tuning up to do after it was all down on paper, but that one just sort of fell into existence.
So a guilty pleasure of mine is that damn show True Blood. It is so bad.
I know. Well, I mean, there are so many moments in there where it's like, man, you guys were really, really reaching for an idea.
Yeah, it was terrible. The acting was terrible. The story had so many plot holes. There were so many inconsistencies throughout the entire series.
And yet I loved it.
And I fucking love it.
Yeah. Anna Paquin running around naked all over the place. It's like,
ain't nothing wrong with that.
Love her.
I could have done without that. I mean, not there's anything wrong with it, but I mean, I just didn't think it was all that necessary.
Well, it felt like it was sort of tacked on there. It's like, okay, we're
yes.
running out of ideas.
It was very much
nudity.
Yeah. Let's throw in this random ass sex scene, and here you go.
And of course, the really shameful part of it is, well, Anna Paquin was a child star. It's like she started out as a little kid in the movies.
Absolutely.
And you got to watch her grow up and become a grown woman. And then all of a sudden she's doing all these fairly explicit nude scenes in a series. And I think that was one of the things that drew so many people to it. It was like, oh, child star takes her clothes off. Let's watch that.
Yeah.
So, don't know what that says about us as a society.
All right. We got another Samantha question.
Oh.
What clothing item would make you walk out on a date if someone wore it?
Jockstrap.
Are you guys familiar with America's Got Talent?
No.
I know it exists.
You at least know it's a thing, right?
Yeah.
They had this gentleman on there. I don't remember his name, but it's this guy probably in his mid to late 60s, perhaps even early 70s. got some years on him, and he's sitting down at this keyboard, and he's playing this really kind of soft thing, and he's talking about this girl, and it's kind of starts up tempo, kind of this thing. He's talking about how great this girl is, but there's one problem: she has a penis.
That would be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go. I think there are a number of songs written about just that thing, usually by guys who have been to New Orleans and gotten drunk on
Right.
Bourbon Street. Yeah.
I just thought it was hilarious. This older gentleman, in front of his little keyboard, and it's kind of kind of lighthearted, and then she has a penis.
Well, as we say, humor does belong in music.
Yes, it does.
Sure. Have you ever heard of a guy named Tim Minchin?
I have not.
He's worth looking up. He's got a lot of good live performances on YouTube, and he's one of the funniest songwriters I've ever heard. And he's a great performer too. He's a composer from Australia that wrote all of the songs for a movie called Matilda.
Okay. Yes,
You've seen Matilda?
I have.
He wrote all of that.
No way.
That was him. Yeah.
No way.
Well, if you go and listen to it, you realize that's the tip of the iceberg. This guy's got some really great stuff.
Yeah.
And he's got a really great, he's got an orchestra that backs him up. He travels around like Frank Sinatra.
He's Australian?
He's Australian, yeah. And he's funny as hell. He's really funny and a great songwriter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like he can be a guy who writes funny songs, but not be a great songwriter, be a great jokester. You can be a guy who writes great songs, but not be very funny. This guy's both of them. So
Tim Minchin.
I
will definitely be checking that out.
Him highly.
Yes.
Yeah. Nobody has ever heard him and said, this guy's boring. He's funny.
Not to mention, I've been looking for stand up to listen to here recently, but this is kind of in the wheelhouse.
Sure.
That I'm looking for.
I think you'll like it. You should appreciate this.
Yeah.
But yeah, stand up is kind of becoming my new go-to for when I'm looking to waste some time online.
Yeah.
And so much of it is available out there, and there's so much really good stand up.
Yes.
On these days.
You have a favorite stand-up comedian?
Oh, not really. I like who's that blonde chick that filthy?
Lisa Lampanelli?
No.
We can't talk about her.
I'll think about it. I'll think of it in a minute. But I'm a big fan of guys like Stephen Wright and what's the guy that came out on his heels? I can't think of any names right now. I love Seinfeld, of course, and Rita Rudner. She was great. Most of my big stand-up touchstones are they've been out of the business for 20 years now.
Absolutely.
Some of them are dead.
George Carlin.
Oh,
Mitch Hedberg.
Mitch Hedberg.
I was trying to think.
Yes.
Yeah, that got me. I can go back and watch his stuff. He still makes me fall over laughing.
The thing about Mitch Hedberg is he doesn't tell these fucking long-winded stories that you have to sit through 20 minutes of bullshit. Then you finally get to the point. It's just quick little one-liners and on to the next.
One rapid-fire piece of humor after the next.
Yes.
He keeps you off balance.
Yes.
See, I compare him to Stephen Wright. I think Stephen Wright was like that.
Okay.
And he's an older guy.
Yeah, I like Stephen.
See, he sort of pioneered that whole thing of the guy with brain damage making comments about his perceptions. And, it was funny as hell when he first came out in the 80s. Nobody had ever seen anything quite like that. And then Mitch Hedberg kind of picked it up, and he really perfected that art. And he OD'd.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But, he's worth listening to.
Yeah. Stephen Wright was definitely the pioneer of the straight-faced, dry.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. Humor.
Right.
I'm not telling a joke.
It was all about, the kind of perceptions you would have if you were on acid or something like that. It's like people hear him doing that and they're like, oh, I get where you're coming from. It's like you've got a really weird way of looking at the world, and it's funny the way you say it. So yeah, no, I'm a big fan of comedy. I think those who live life without a sense of humor are really missing out on what
Yes,
that's all
definitely.
about. I can't relate to them.
Which kind of brings us to this question, which I really like, and I think I already know your answer. Would you rather be the funniest or the smartest person in the room?
Oh, Jesus. I don't know. Well, never had the experience in either of those, so I'm not really sure. Probably I'd rather be the smartest person in the room. I'd just like to know what that's like. The funniest person is always a good thing too.
I feel like being legitimately funny requires some intelligence, though.
It does, and the biggest thing that anybody that's going to be funny is like you got to have timing.
Yeah,
that's critical in everything. It's like which in a lot of ways that makes you very much like a musician.
Yeah.
It's like you got to just be right there on the spot.
Yeah, and Mitch Hedberg was a master at that. He would wait until he would wait until the whole audience goes dead.
Yep.
And then he would just say something stupid like,
Yep.
I've never seen a duck. And then everybody laughed at it out, and he'd wait until everybody goes quiet and then just say something else ridiculous.
But that's clever, though, not stepping on the joke.
Yeah.
Right. I used to do drugs. I still do, but I used to too. Yeah.
I also like the maniac comedians too, like the Lewis Black and the Bill Burr.
Right.
The ones that are flying off the handle about stuff. Those guys crack me up.
It took me a long time to learn to like Sam Kinison.
Kinison.
Yes.
Kinison. When I first heard him, I was like, if you have to scream at people to be funny, you're not really funny. But after a while, you kind of go way around the other side. I was like, okay, I get what you're doing. It's like it's a whole persona you got going on here. And the persona is actually very funny.
Tell that to Gallagher.
I know. I laughed out loud at that guy the first few times I saw him smash a watermelon.
Yes.
And he had a lot of other stuff too. But after a while, Gallagher is like, okay, we know what to expect.
Yep.
He's kind of a one-trick pony. But I do remember him coming out from backstage with a bicycle-powered blimp once that he flew around the audience. And that is quite possibly the funniest sight I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it was literally a blimp, and he had a little, sit-down bicycle strapped to the bottom of it. And he was powering it by turning the pedals, which was turning a propeller in the back. And it was just such an outrageous thing to see, Nailed it that night.
One of my favorite comedians recently, a guy named Bert Kreischer. He actually went to Florida State. Went to Florida State.
Isn't he the machine guy?
That guy.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy this guy's humor. Like, I listen to his podcast. I try and listen to whatever it is he puts out. He put out a movie recently called The Machine.
I've never heard of this.
Sucked.
It was terrible. I made it about halfway through it, and I realized that I wasn't paying attention because it just was not.
Making a movie and doing stand-up, two totally different things.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily translate. Now, they've got this place downtown called Birds Aphrodisiac.
Yes.
You know that place?
Oh, yes.
Shout out Birds.
They have, free cheeseburger, guys. But they have comedy open.
Yes, they do.
And sometimes you see some people that are really good.
Yes.
You can tell some of those, and it's almost all college kids. They get up there and do their thing, and once in a while you'll see somebody that really has it down. They've got a routine.
A friend of mine does stand up there often. I haven't talked to the guy. I say friend, I should say acquaintance really now at this point. Damn, I can't think of his name. I see him all the time on Facebook, but right now I'm just blank. Can't remember his name.
There's a point.
Yeah, the point was it's definitely worth going to check out birds.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I was when I was living in Chicago, I needed a roommate, and so I advertised for one. This guy from Athens, Georgia, of all places, comes in and says, "I need a place to live." Well, okay, we're from the same town, huge coincidence. But he was an Elvis impersonator.
Oh,
Yeah. And he was like this comedic Elvis impersonator, and he was working on his stand up because back in the 90s, stand up was huge. And he came to Chicago specifically to get rich and famous being a stand up comic. And I went with him to a number of these, small shows where basically open mics where they give these comics their time. And holy crap, man, it's like there's so many people that aren't funny out there. I mean, so many people that they think, I've got something, I'm going to get up and present it. But they, it takes that X factor. You've got to have some combination of facial expression, posture, and timing to really make people laugh. It doesn't matter how good your material is. But the funniest person I ever saw at one of those was this kid who bombed. I mean, he got up there and he told his jokes, with all the cheerfulness and enthusiasm he could possibly have mustered up. And then when he'd tell the joke and nobody'd laugh, he'd get this horribly hurt look on his face. I mean, it was just awful. You felt bad for him. But after about the third or fourth time he did that, people started laughing. And after a while, every time he pulled that look on his face, the whole crowd would go nuts because it was so funny seeing this kid be crushed.
It's fucked up.
I know, it was awful.
Humans are terrible.
But it was just really funny.
Now, if he was thinking, he would have turned that into his bit.
Well, it may well have been.
Could have been, yeah.
And we just didn't realize it for the first, 2 or 3 minutes. But no, this kid had that crushed look down. He was funny when he was hurt. So
we went to the House of Music to see some comedians. Buddy of mine, Johnny Ray, he opened. He was supposed to MC, but he ended up opening. And I made the mistake of stepping out for a beer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go out to get 2 beers, and the headliner comes on. By the time I get back, he's already on. And he's angry because he's late. For some reason, it's our fault. So he's picking on the crowd.
oh,
Yeah.
How did that go over?
And he sees her in a little red dress with a big chest tattoo.
oh.
And I walk in, and he's talking about how if anybody gets into a fight, stick with her because she has a knife on her for sure. And
Right.
Of course, she does have a knife on her. Well, I
Yeah.
come walking in with the 2 beers, and he goes, and stick with him. He's got the gun. I was like, what did I miss? What is this guy mad about?
Well, how did he go over?
Towards the end of it, not the best, but he was kind of funny.
Gotcha.
Yeah. My buddy Johnny, he was funnier, and then the guy in the middle, he was pretty good. But the
Yeah.
headliner, I can't remember his name.
I admire those guys. It takes a lot of nerve to be a stand-up.
Takes a bunch of balls
Absolutely.
to get up there.
I mean, you get up there, and if people just aren't in the right mood, not only are you going to bomb, but you're going to look like an idiot. And like that kid, it's going to show on your face if you're getting rejected. So, kudos to them. I prefer playing music, man, because at least you can cover up the crowd sound for 3 minutes and 30 seconds per song. So,
Yep, and both those professions, you got to handle the heckler.
yeah.
Somebody starts heckling, you got to be witty enough to fire back at them.
I am ashamed to say I've only heckled one band, and looking back, I was a total ass about it. But I was there to see a band called Cold, and they're kind of a hard rock band, and they had this kind of a pop punk band open for them, and I was just like, "What the fuck is this?" And I made it known that I didn't care for their music.
You
And
were in the back like,
Well, that's what the opening act is for.
Yeah,
Designated dartboard.
And then about the second or third time after I opened my mouth, I felt somebody standing behind me, and I turned around, and there was a bouncer that was much larger than me standing right, like he was like on my shoulder, and I I shut the fuck up after that. I didn't say a goddamn thing after that.
Well, thank God for bouncers sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was about to get bounced.
Well,
I don't think I've ever done any heckling. I appreciate everybody that goes up on a stage, but I don't have to like them.
Yeah.
If I don't like them, I'll just fucking talk shit behind them. But I'm not.
I would never do anything like that now, but
do it the right way. Talk behind their back.
Exactly. Tell everybody you don't like them in secret.
There you go.
Speaking to kind of what we're talking about, so went to the Legacy recently, and there was, I want to say, an artist.
Where is that now?
That is the old Warrior on the River, formerly known as Riverfront. Yes. Went to a show at Legacy, Riverfront, what have you. And I guess there were 3 bands originally, and I guess one of the bands had canceled. So they had a guy come in, just complete last minute, Johnny on the spot. It was kind of weird. And I don't say that disrespectfully at all. Actually, quite to the contrary. It was this guy in like a jumpsuit, and he had on a helmet or something. And instead of being like on the stage, he was like he got off and was in the Bay Area, and the music that he had playing on like a laptop or something behind him was just way extreme music, for lack of better terms, and
extreme in the electronica sense, in the heavy metal sense,
all of the above. Yeah, no, really, all. Think clowncore. It was something along just really abrasive. That's where I was looking for. Yeah, very abrasive music. And he was, he's trying to get into it, and he's kind of going all over the place. He's trying to interact with people, and people just were not having it. But the point that I'm getting at, though, is respect to this guy. He didn't, it was obvious by like his second song that this wasn't going to go over very well with the crowd, but he stuck to it. He stuck to it throughout his entire show.
He had a job to do.
He had a job to do, and he did it. Did it go over very well? No, it didn't. But again, my point is respect to that guy, because he did his thing. Yeah.
It's all you can do when you're in that situation.
Yeah. And I mean, and how many, I'm sure we've all played to, the people behind the bar, they're trying to clean up and trying to close for the night, or maybe in front of 4 people at best.
Yeah,
we did a Merritt Island show and played to the bar staff.
Exactly.
I watched basketball. It's the first time I really sat through a basketball game. 'Cause I was just on autopilot, like nobody cares.
Yep.
Nobody gives a rat's
I've
Yep.
played some of those gigs where it's like there are definitely more people on stage than there are at the bar.
But you still play. You still do it.
Yes.
Sure.
And once again, if you're playing music you like, you don't give a damn.
Yeah.
It's like you'll play it anyway. It's like, oh, we don't have a crowd. Shit, we're not going to make any money. Well, hey, why don't we play this? Boom.
Yeah.
There you go into a song. You're having fun.
Yep.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I don't really play professionally much anymore. It's like I really want to just play the stuff I enjoy playing, and I don't want to play crowd pleasers by any stretch of the imagination. And I don't want to learn the covers that a lot of the other bands kind of insist on doing. The things that they say, well, if we play these, people will put money in the tip jar. I'm like, yeah, great, but damn it, I just don't want to do Margaritaville again.
Oh no.
There's another one. Good call.
I
No.
love Jimmy Buffett. I really do.
Sure.
I've been one of those guys that said, that's all crap that he writes. He's funny.
He really
a
is.
writer,
Yeah.
and he comes up with really interesting lyrics. He comes up with good lines that'll make you think. But for fuck's sakes, man, do we really have to do that song again? You know? Sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes you just absolutely have to. But I really, shy away from those kind of musical situations where No, we've got these songs that we do it because the crowd just loves them. It's like, I love Sweet Home Alabama. I don't want to play it on stage.
No.
It's like, I've done it.
Yep.
Enough is enough. I've got this one song I've written called "We Ain't Playing No More Goddamn Skinner Until They Start Playing Us." And basically, it's all about that moment in history where you could do an entire set of nothing but Skinner songs, and the crowd would just love it.
Absolutely. But you didn't show up as the Leonard Skinner tribute band, or you didn't show up as Three Steps or whatever.
We did not. But I will say this is my admission in life. It's like the first song I ever played on stage was Freebird.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I was in high school, didn't know that it was supposed to be a slide guitar, so I figured out how to bend the strings enough to make it sound like that. And it was pretty lousy, but it was exciting because the lead singer of that band grabbed his crotch, and it was at a high school talent show. So we were disqualified.
Oh no.
We came away with a great story.
I just ordered a slide just a few days ago.
Do you like playing slide?
I do. Now I am not a accomplished slide guitarist.
Few people are.
Yeah. I've dabbled, and really saying I've dabbled, that's about the best I can say of my experience. But I love the sound of it, right? And
those who do it well, they'll touch you.
Yeah. Now I'm not gonna retune my guitar to open G or whatever it is.
You gotta learn how to do it straight. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Who do you like?
Guitar wise?
Yeah, as far as slide players go.
See, that's the thing. I couldn't really James Hetfield, they slide, believe it or not, is in I
can actually believe it.
Believe it or not, there is some slide guitar work in their music.
Two really good ones have been on the show. Berman.
Oh yeah.
He's a killer slide.
Yes, he is actually. Yes, I knew that.
Yeah,
I've seen White Trash Slide several times.
Absolute monster. And,
yes.
Ace Stacy Brooks from
Wait, he plays guitar?
Oh yeah, he should. That man plays about everything.
Damn.
Romexis.
Amazing drummer that we're referring to apparently also plays guitar.
Oh yeah.
I'll be damned.
I love it.
But
he's got lap steel and all that kind of shit.
Oh,
it's like a jack of all trades.
Oh.
Yeah, he's good.
But yeah, I haven't played slide guitar in many years. Actually, I was playing only acoustic for about 3 years, and I just got back into playing electric very recently.
How's that thing playing, by the way?
Oh, like a dream. He loaned me a guitar, an electric guitar. Mine's in the shop at the moment. There's something about it doesn't feel right here in this area, so I kind of have to adjust for that
because of the angle.
Because of the angle. But it sounds so good, and it plays really well. The tuning needs adjusting from time to time, but so he loaned me a is a Squire
Fender
Strat.
Yeah.
Now not a traditional Fender Strat, like the fucking cream, that everyone has. It's got a
flame maple top.
Yeah, it's got a flame maple top.
Something about the pickup.
Oh yeah, the Seymour Duncans.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah. Seymour Duncans, and they're hot.
Yeah.
They're good and hot.
Hey, I found Squires to be every bit as good.
Absolutely.
Fenders.
Sure.
Fenders are fancier, and of course they
it's the name.
But yeah, it's very much about the name. And it's like you think about, well, if the main feature of your guitar is going to be the neck, and it is.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that you can't compromise.
Yeah.
On. Like, well, Squire makes good necks.
Yeah.
They get Indonesian maple, and they do a fine job of dressing the frets for you. And, they don't, a lot of times you can get it without any finish on it at all, but they do those satin finishes on them.
Yes.
They feel really, really nice.
Yes.
Sometimes they put some really shitty pickups in there, but I mean, what's it take to change those out?
Absolutely.
It's really easy. You can always upgrade your plug hardware, and you can put in better tuners. You can put in a better bridge, but you can still get a Stratocaster quality Squire
Definitely.
for less than $600 or $700.
Yes.
I mean, you can buy those damn things for $200 at
Yep.
Guitar Center. It's crazy.
Yep.
To me.
Yeah, we talked a bit about that with Gene, right? You can take a shitty guitar and put good stuff in it. That's
Yes.
exactly what I did with that bass. That's all hip shot hardware and bassline pickups, and that's an $80 bass I found in a pawn shop.
No shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like one of the old Rippers. No, actually, that looks like one of those old Olympic basses, like Phil Lesh from the Grateful Dead. He used to play one that looked like
Yeah, double cutaway, heavy neck, so it
Yeah.
falls down. Small body.
How's the weight on it?
It's heavy.
It's neck heavy.
Yeah, it's very neck heavy.
Yeah. I've got this thing called a dark horse, a wet horse. It was made by this guy over in Valdosta, Ben Owens, and this is my favorite electric guitar. I've got a Paul Reed Smith, a Les Paul,
Nice.
a Gibson ES 340 made in 1968. I got some nice stuff, but the thing I always take out is my wet horse for a couple of reasons. It's just got the finest neck I've ever felt for a guitar like this. And no finish on it. It's like all the finish was relicked off of it. He
Nice.
rounded it off, so it's bare wood, feels like a baseball bat, but it fits my hand perfectly. And it's got this ugly body. I mean, he was trying to relic it so it looked, like an old road worn guitar.
Right.
Not the best job in the world. And it's got this sticker at the top. It says "Wet Horse." So anybody looks at this thing like, I'm not even going to bother trying to steal this thing. It's ugly. It can't be worth anything. But it's a
Perfect.
very good guitar. The only thing I hate about it is too heavy. So I'm thinking about taking it over to Gary Hudson. I've talked to him about it before. He's trying to talk me out of it. But I want to cut away the corner where my forearm goes.
Exactly.
I want to do a belly cutaway.
Yep.
And that ought to take about 1.5 pounds off of it.
Yeah.
So, it'll be a lot more comfortable, and it'll be, a lot lighter,
Yeah.
which is what I really need, because I'm getting to the point where I can't just stand up all night long and hold a heavy ass guitar.
Yep.
I had a little bit of a musical heartbreak recently.
Oh,
I spent some time with my Warwick Corvette
Yeah.
double buck. I got nowhere to put my thumb.
Oh,
It's not working.
that's a dilemma.
Yeah, so my PV Dyna 4, I stick it right on top of the pickup.
right.
Perfect, right
Yep.
there in the sweet spot. Same with my Aria
Yep.
Cat.
Yep.
Right there in the sweet spot.
Yeah, most bass players you anchor your thumb like on a pickup.
Yeah, on top of the
Yeah,
pickup.
I'm guessing on the body of the guitar.
No.
No, okay.
Doesn't really cut it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not working for me because the way that big ass humbucker is, there's like 2 humps in it. So
Yeah.
it just fucking, and it doesn't put me right where I want.
now because I know you don't use a pick, do you play with your pinky?
Yes, sometimes.
Okay,
Rarely, but sometimes.
I was gonna say maybe you can try like we do acoustics and anchor your pinky against the body of the guitar instead.
Yeah.
You said you had an area, you call it?
Yeah, Aria.
I've
Pro
always called
2
those
Cat.
Arias.
Yeah.
Those are nice guitars. I don't
Yeah.
know if they even make them anymore, but
I hope so.
I remember they used to advertise them in Guitar Player magazine way back in the 70s, and it's like every one of those I ever played, I was like, this is a nice guitar. They just spend a lot of time on the detail. I think you're a bass player.
Yep.
Primarily.
Yep.
Yeah. See, I like playing bass too. I always tell people if I have it to do again, if I come back somehow and I'm a human, I'm going to be a bass player, not a guitar player. Guitar players are a dime a dozen. They're everywhere.
Yes, we are.
We're just too damn common. It's like a good bass player. That's hard to come by.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And it's fun. You can switch
Well,
it up.
it is. Well, from the times I've spent playing bass in bands, is like I've come to realize, well, you're really the guy at the tiller. You know, you're the guy that gets to steer the sound. You get to steer the groove. You know, if you've got a good drummer that listens to you and can respond to what you're doing, it's like, well, the rhythm section is basically, you know, the leader of the band, and you know, place to be.
True story. Facts.
Yeah.
Which is I think it was last show.
Yeah.
With Sean, we were talking about bassists and all that, and what you listen to in your monitor.
Yep.
I was always give me kick, give me hi hat. I want no singer. I don't care what he's doing, and give me a little bit of guitar.
Yep.
A little bit.
Just to make sure he's not fucking up.
Because it's me and the drummer. We already know what we're doing, and the rest of the band needs to keep up.
Well, and I agree with that. It's like if the band, you know, if the bass player can keep time,
Mhm.
not every bass player can keep time. You know?
No, I don't feel it.
On the other hand, you know, not every drummer can keep time either. You know, it's like drummers are the best people in the world for all the shit they have to put up with, but they got to stop rushing. You know,
Mhm.
it's like that's what most drummers wind up doing. Eventually, they rush a little bit because that's
Adrenaline.
you know, you get excited.
I hate it when the drummer is playing too fucking fast. It's like slow down.
Yes. Well, and so many drummers start out at the right tempo, but you know, you come to a turn in the music and you catch a little bit of G force and you come out a little bit faster.
Right.
Everybody has to catch up with you. I'm
Coming in hot.
I've got a couple of really good bass players at my disposal and a couple of really good drummers, and I'm very happy, you know, in life. But I've played with a lot of them that it's like, you know, every time you hit that turn at the end of the verse or at the end of the chorus, it's like you come out just a hair faster.
Yep.
And you can feel it, and there's no way you can fix it because they don't.
You're already there.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Ben, it's been awesome.
Well,
Yes.
thank you so much. I appreciate this opportunity. Once again, sorry I was late.
No, it's all right.
Blame the road crew.
Yeah.
Actually, I was like just a minute late myself last week,
Yeah.
I feel better now.
Yeah,
Yep.
and the roads were clear.
and the roads were clear. It was my
So,
fault.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
We blamed it on the sun.
Well, you sent me some really good directions. Problem is, you sent me two totally different sets of directions.
Well, yeah, because there are two different ways to get here. So
yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I finally figured that out. But, hey, I made it.
Yep.
So.
That's
Thanks,
all that matters.
guys. I appreciate it.
Definitely.
Anytime.
Yes, thank you.
Until
thanks,
Samantha,
everybody.
I said hello.
Yeah, will do. The your link is in the description, so everybody go click that, check it out. Do you have any like a Facebook page? I couldn't find one.
Well, I do. It's just Ben Banks.
You're just your personal one. You don't.
No, I don't have anything special for my music. Actually, I take that back. I've got one for one of my bands called the Dad Burn Varmints. I've got one for another band called Magnolia South, and I think there's a Facebook page for the Old Porch Swing too, which has some of my stuff on it. I guess.
Awesome.
Yeah, go check them out.
Definitely.
Old Porch Swing. Go check all that out. And December 9th, link is in the description. I Catch Your Signs in the description. Everything's in the description. People go read for a while. We're out. We're going to go have another beer with Ben later.